Good evening and welcome to everyone, including those via FB, that's Facebook, and YouTube Live. Continue greet. This is Nicola Carrara, and you are on Family Time. It's about your issues and your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. My co host this evening is Tamika Scott Walters. Tamika Wagwan.
Nikki, I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Wonderful. I am good. I am good.
Oh boy.
Thank you. Excited about the show.
I am absolutely excited. Looking forward to this evening's discussion. Now, to all our wonderful listeners and viewers, please stay with us and join in the discussion via our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube, where we are live, and via Instagram. We love having you here. Now, for today's topic, what are the benefits of getting married, of being married? What do you have to say? Are you married, or are you planning on getting married? Or are you completely against it? Or maybe you just don't see the point. Why bother, you ask? Well, come back, we'll talk about it. Who knows? You could change your mind. So, what really are the benefits to marriage? And is it worth it after all? Yes, I know, Nikki, it's a ton load of questions,
Yup.
but this one is specifically for you, our listeners and viewers. What have been the benefits of marriage for you? WhatsApp us and text your voice notes. Please keep them 30 seconds or less and send to 876 997 3125.
And I want to hear, Tamika. So I need people convincing me. So you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 to 8 to participate. You can also watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube. Also coming up at about 6 p.m. is Pastor Clover with her usual word of encouragement. But let's take a little break. We'll be back with our special guest, Sonia Winter.
Black Friday Mega Madness. Black Friday Mega Madness. We have never had a sale this big. Get ready, Jamaica. This one is massive. November 25 to 27 at Home and Things. It's the Black Friday Mega Madness weekend at Home and Things. Every single item in store is 30 to 70% off. This Friday only. And catch the Saturday and Sunday specials too. Black Friday Mega Madness weekend is on at Home and Things, Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road. It's a Mega Madness weekend.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile: cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
What is a credit score? A credit score is a number that depicts a consumer's creditworthiness. That means your ability to repay a loan. It shows that you have sufficient money or assets to back any loans that are granted to you. A credit score helps you improve your ability to get credit from financial institutions. The higher your score, the better a borrower you are, and the better you look to potential lenders. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Christmas here, are you ready? Burgess colors I am choosing. Paint a home you'll adore, get prizes galore. Shopping in a Burgess Wonderland.
Win an 8-day Caribbean cruise, gift vouchers, save 15% and more when you purchase 2 gallons or more of Burgess paints at any color shop or participating hardwares. For entry details, visit BurgessPaintsCaribbean.com today. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Burgess, for lasting beauty and protection.
Men, women, boys, and girl, welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. Today's discussion is titled The Benefits of Marriage.
Yay.
And our very special guest is a favorite and frequent visitor to Family Time, none other than Sonia Winter. But before we pull her in, remember, we need to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. Give it some thought, no? What have been the benefits of marriage? What have been the benefits of marriage for you? WhatsApp us, text and voice notes. Please keep them 30 seconds or less and send to 876-997-3125. Tell your family, tell a friend, and watch together. And comment live on our Facebook page and YouTube page at Love 101 FM, or call our studio lines to participate at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328.
Yes, you all. You need to participate, and I'm so excited. I keep on saying that. I really am excited about the show. You see, Tamika is married, but I am not. Never been married, so I really, really want to know about the benefits. This is a very interesting topic, and so I'm so happy that Sonia Winter is here to walk us through. Sonia is the founder of Tea House Therapy. She holds a master's degree in clinical psychology from the University of the West Indies, Mona, and is the only Gottman Level 3 trained clinical psychologist in the Caribbean. She provides counseling and psychotherapy, specializing in many areas, including anger, anxiety, depression, panic, parenting, and of course, premarital counseling. She also does occasional therapy with Family Life Ministries. Sonia, welcome to Family Time.
Greetings. Hi there, Nicola. Hi there.
Hello.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. This is a very interesting topic.
Indeed. Indeed.
Sonia, we see that you are no ordinary woman. I mean, certified, the only person certified at the Caribbean level.
That's
And so
serious.
we're really looking forward to today's discussion. Now,
Thank
Sonia, I'm sure in your profession you have heard it all, but there's one popular saying that stands out for me when it comes to marriage, and it is, marriage is not a bed of roses. It's hard. It's also said that marriage goes beyond just, the physical closeness to include spiritual and emotional connections. So, Sonia, I'd love to know if that's how you define marriage. What does that all mean? But first and foremost, for our listeners, what really is this thing called marriage?
Do you know that we actually have someone writing in already on Facebook? This is exciting. And it's Cotton Jacqueline says, I was married for 20 years. Don't know why. Oh boy.
Sonia,
Hey,
this one for you.
You're on the hot seat, Sonia. You're on the hot seat. So, first of all, define marriage for her, because maybe she didn't really know what marriage was supposed to be. So, tell her, please, what is marriage?
Here's the thing. I think it's important to place marriage in a time construct of time, okay?
Right.
So what marriage is and what its benefits are depend on what part of history you're looking at, to tell you the truth, right? Because frankly, even in recent history, if we think about millennials today and what marriage means to them versus my generation or my grandparents' generation, the institution of marriage has very different meaning and implications because our society has changed, So marriage as we know it today really originated from, the European world, as it were, There were times, in prehistory, as it were, where men were allowed to marry. In almost every community, men had more than one wife. And then as communities became more stable and settled, then property became relevant. And believe it or not, the primary purpose of marriage at its initiation, when marriage first came onto the history books as an institution, the primary purpose was to bind a woman to a man so that the man could guarantee that the children were his biological heirs and could receive property. That was the main reason of marriage.
Wow.
When it first appeared in history. And so the woman also became property of the man. If the marriage vows as we know them have evolved. And the very first set of marriage vows, the father handed over his daughter to the man, and he would say, we still have parts of this in our practice today. He would say, I'm pledging my daughter to you for the purpose of producing legitimate heirs. Wow. That's how and we still have a little bit of that today. Who giveth this woman, for instance, that. Exactly, that's the origin of that. So the point of marriage is it was more of a legal and economic institution, to protect property, or the handing down of property within any family, whether it be land or goats or whatever. And then also that the man could be sure that his children were his biological heirs, Then as the Christian church became more and more powerful throughout North Africa and Europe, it then became important that a priest bless the union in order for it to be legally recognized. So all along, no love, there's no question. No,
love had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with love whatsoever. And that is actually too, you can see with the origin of families arranging marriages that still exist in some cultures.
Yes.
But all marriage from the beginning was a transactional arrangement by families, And then to be honest, this notion of, and the great thing about the Christian church, how should I say, absorbing the institution of marriage, was that it now handed down doctrine that said men now had to take care of their wives, they had to be faithful to them, and this was now the beginning of the notion of exclusivity. If I'm married to you, it's just me and you, and anything outside, anything outside of that now is not acceptable, not socially acceptable, and not acceptable within the church as well. And so you see the kind of face of, and then women's lot became a whole lot better. We were, we didn't have to go along with the program in the same way. We had to be kind of taken care of. And that certainly worked in our interest. The whole notion of love now in marriage came many centuries later after the first marriages appeared. And again, that kind of improved the lot of women in that, with love, now the woman, roles developed where the woman had to be kind of wooed by the man, as it were. I do want to just pause to say, note, however, that there are many other cultures, cultures from different countries in Africa and China and in the Far East and so on, where the practice of marriage is different. So what I'm speaking to is marriage as we know it here in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, in the Western Hemisphere. That's specifically what I'm speaking about. So, but we shouldn't think that this is the end all.
Yes,
exactly, right.
Different stroke for different folks, they say.
Exactly. And so culture is a very important component of what marriage means and so on, you know. And then the interesting thing, believe it or not, there was also another shift, right? You know, where up to this point, women are still, through marriage, the institution of marriage, almost the property of their husband. Okay, and they don't have the full rights of a citizen that he had. You know, he was essentially the sole representative of the family, and that's where also began this notion of her taking the woman taking the man's name and kind of being just, it's like her identity is now absorbed into his, as it were. She no longer has her own identity. Now, here's what's fascinating to me. The whole dynamic changed dramatically again. So up to this point, the benefit of marriage is solely about the economics of it, okay, from the point of view of the man, that he can know that when he dies, his property will go to his offspring.
Yeah, his legitimate children.
Exactly. That was the sole purpose, you know. But and then the dance of marriage changed and so on. But then when women were now afforded the right to vote and seen as independent citizens now, again the marriage became a little bit more egalitarian, you know, and women now had more of a voice within their own marriage and within their homes. So that changed again. It meant now that they could advocate for their own independent economics in a way, you know, ensure that they could be properly taken care of. They had more of a say, that sort of a thing, more independence even within the marriage, more consideration. You know what I mean? And I mean, up to today now, we've gone to the stage of millennials, right? And
More changes. More changes.
big, huge changes with millennials and maybe the generation before. More and more women are entering into the workforce. You know, now I'm emphasizing women because it is our gender that has gone through the most dramatic changes
Right,
from the beginning.
right, right. It seems like it's changing as women's roles change. Then
Absolutely.
the way marriage is done also changes.
Exactly. And the thing about it is the more drama, you know, with industrialization and even with our generation computerization, women are now, you know, in the workforce in far greater numbers. Number one, you know, they are, you know, fin economic entities by themselves. You know, they don't have to be as dependent on men financially. They don't have to be. It's more of a choice now. You know what I mean? And that is true no matter what the socioeconomic group is. You know, women are now, you know, you see women on construction sites. You see women, you know what I
Doing it
mean?
all. Yeah.
Yes, they're security guards as well as presidents of companies, you know, presidents of countries, you know. So the role of women is changing. And as a result now, marriage is less of a necessity for women as it was several generations ago. So marriage is now a lot, you know, it's like a nice to have. You have more choice. You can, and as a result, you know, the average age of women getting married has jumped dramatically. The average age is now almost 30, you know, for women getting married, where in my mother's generation, you know, the average age would have been like 2021.
Early 20s, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So
So-
women are delaying getting married today.
And men too, you know, and the great news too is there are a number of studies that are showing that men now have to be more emotionally intelligent in order
Amen to that.
right, in order, you know, because women now have a choice, have more. I mean, you know, there's still, yeah, you know, the men still have an upper hand. You know, we do live in a patriarchal society still, but the women are more coming into their own in terms of their ability to exercise choice within marriage, you know. And so I say all that to say that marriage has the growth, the genesis of marriage is that it has really been an economic and legal institution that has now overlays in terms of our faith, you know, in terms of, you know, how marriage sits within our faith as Christians. And then also it's also a social institutional as well, in that, you know, there's a social pressure and expectation that this is a rite of passage for most citizens as well, you know. So
Wow.
marriage is a multifaceted thing. You know,
It's
not
more like a business to me, though. I don't know if I'm getting convinced here.
well.
It is marriage lessons 101, Nikki. We never know some of these stuff.
Nikki, it was a business arrangement.
Right.
For far more centuries, it was entirely a business arrangement. Love was a notion that had nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? Today, that is not so. That's
Right.
not so at all. You know what I mean? And today, I think because people have more choice about marriage, you know, and we're speaking specifically about marriage where two people have entered into the marriage contract legally, because, you know, there are many common law relationships where
Right.
people
Yeah,
are
right.
just as committed, you know what I mean, as if they had been married, you know. But so
And
we're
some
talking about
persons are trying to redefine the traditional sense of what we know marriage to be as well.
indeed, for sure, you know. I don't know if I've answered your question at all, Nikki. I've kind of gone around.
But it's good. You answered a lot of questions,
And a lot more,
but
yeah.
you're still going to have a lot more, because I really need to be convinced about the benefits right now. So help me here. What about mental, emotional benefits,
Okay.
physical benefits?
Nikki, don't forget financial. Yes.
Financial, for sure.
Yes, yes.
But
So
let me start with the most shocking information, or shall I say the most remarkable information.
Okay, I don't know. I don't want it to scare me.
Don't
No.
shock her too much. Remember, she's single still. Yeah.
No, you know what? There are a number of studies, many studies that have demonstrated that people who are in a satisfying marriage live on average 10 years longer than
Wow.
people who are either single or who are in an unhappy relationship.
Mm.
That's remarkable.
Okay. It
So
is not
marriage lengthens one's life.
It does, but it has to be a satisfying marriage, okay?
Satisfying. That is the important word.
That's
For
the key word.
sure. Because, and if you think about it, there's a biological underpinning for that, okay? The truth is that if I'm in a successful relationship with somebody else, then I'm always producing fantastic hormones. You know, the dopamines and the feel-good hormones are being produced,
Yeah.
right? And those are conducive not only to great mental health. It's almost like you're on a high.
Physical health
So
too.
when you fall in love, think about when you fall in love for the first time. You're literally on a high because you're producing so many feel-good hormones, okay, and that promotes mental health, and it also promotes physical health.
Physical
For
health.
people who are often single or in unhappy marriage, well, let's start with people who are single. Up to today, people who are single have often felt low. They've felt the pressure of society to get married, depending on what age they are, right? And that pressure can exert a stress on you where you start to, you know, identify your self-worth, all kinds of things, your confidence start to suffer. And that's now going to start to produce the stress hormones, okay? Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
And
the culture imposes certain beliefs, and if you feel, boy, you reach a certain age and you're not married, then the questions keep coming. When you're gonna get married? When you're gonna have kids?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for some women, that can produce like a low grade distress level on top of the feeling of loneliness as well. You know what I mean? That can produce, you know, low grade stress, which has you producing this adrenaline and cortisol on an ongoing basis, which is not great for your health. You know, we can talk about the effect of that on another program.
Yeah.
But then, of course, for couples who are in unhappy marriages or unhappy relationships, of course, the stress hormones are going through the roof because, you know, because they're always in fight or flight. You know, things aren't being going well, and it's those realities, those biological realities that end up affecting your physical health
health.
as well as your emotional health.
Yeah.
Okay. So benefit number one of a stable.
You see, that's what they keep on saying. Stable and satisfying.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not like my friend who was in marriage for 20 years and wondering why.
Yes. Not that
Yes.
one. Not that one.
Wow. Okay. So,
Well, I have to tell you, Nikki, I have to tell you, I'm one of
yes.
those women who has locked out because 3 days ago I celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary.
Woo!
I keep saying
Happy
I
belated
still like the guy. I
anniversary.
still like the guy. I always tell people, and I still really like the guy. He's really,
That
I
is
Oh,
love
so
wow.
goes
good
without
to
saying.
hear. And you're smiling when you talk about the
Tanya,
guy.
I was looking closely when you said millennials, and then you said not like my generation, and then you said 25 years. And
It's those
are you
hormones.
sure?
And I got married late. Can I tell you? I
Oh,
got married in
wow.
my 30s. So, you know.
Whoa, those
So,
hormones.
Congratulations.
I need some of
Congratulations to
those.
you.
yes. So you're speaking to the converted, put it that way. Okay. So
Wonderful.
but the information I'm sharing with you is objective and dispassionate. Okay.
Yeah, I need some of the passionate information, okay? Because that's so good because you're smiling. You seem to
Absolutely.
be happy and you're getting those good hormones and
I
you're
am.
looking good.
Satisfying.
So,
She's
For
satisfied,
sure.
Nikki. That's
For
the word
sure.
we used.
I mean, don't get me
oh,
wrong, my husband and
satisfied.
I, we have gone through the bumpy roads. Life is a
Right,
bumpy road, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
right.
at the end of the day, I would choose him again, hands down,
Yeah.
without a second thought,
Yeah.
I still feel a good measure of how satisfying your relationship is do you feel lucky to be with this person? And for
Wow.
me, that's a resounding yes. Um,
Yes, you are
so,
blessed. You are so
indeed,
blessed.
indeed,
And,
indeed.
and to just put it out there, a satisfying relationship is not one that is free of challenges.
For
Because
sure.
we're humans, no one is perfect. But at the end of the day, the measure of satisfaction is greater
For
compared to
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. Thank you so much for emphasizing that.
Wow.
So, but to go back to benefits, so benefit number one, and I'm going to keep stressing, Nikki, maybe for your benefit and other listeners who are not in a relationship, that what we're talking about is not just marriage, carte blanche marriage. We're talking
Right,
about
right.
a satisfying marriage.
Satisfying marriage.
Wonderful.
You know?
Yes, yes.
So there's benefits to your physical and emotional health to the extent that your marriage is successful. And then, of course, your emotional health is also boosted if you have a partner who's helping you to ride through the rough times of your life. Okay. Because life is always going to throw you stresses, whether you're single or whether you're married. And to the extent that you have a partner supporting you, again, that's the critical
Support.
word,
Yeah.
Good support. Yes.
and whom you can reciprocate, of course.
Yes.
You have a better chance of tackling some of the, you can kind of, what do you call it, we can kind of tag team, as
Right.
it were, in tackling life. So that's another benefit. In terms-
Support. There's a support team for whatever the challenges are. Someone is always on your side, always in your corner.
That reminds me of Ecclesiastes. I think it's 3, I believe, when it says when you're there to hold up each other, keep each other warm. It's really a nice passage. So
For sure.
I'm understanding that.
For
And
sure.
what about financial benefits?
And then, of course, you know that I'm a marriage counselor, a relationship counselor, okay?
Yes.
And so when a lot of times when people come to me for therapy, they're coming because their relationship is in distress.
Oh.
And so there are many marriages where there has not been a financial benefit. In fact, it has been a financial disaster.
Oh boy.
For some marriage. So again, I want to stress, in a successful, satisfying marriage, you have the benefit then of pooling resources, and you have the promise of more financial security because it's 2 incomes and shared expenses and so
Right.
on, that you can now avail yourself of.
Right.
Of course, again, that depends on the habits of the 2 individuals. You know what I mean?
That's wonderful. Yes, that's very true. And I want to hear more. But I just want to remind the listeners that we want to hear about your answers to our question. What have been the benefits of marriage for you? We're looking forward to your responses. WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. No longer than 30 seconds, please, to 876-997-3125. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook and YouTube. or call the studio lines 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate.
And just so you know, the numbers for the Family Life Ministries head office in Kingston are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. When we get back, we will still be here. So don't go anywhere just yet, because now it's time for words of encouragement with Pastor Clover. And right after her, we'll go for a break. Soon come.
Marriage is a partnership of two equals under God's authority. The best marriages are those where both the husband and the wife are committed to doing God's will, where their time and energy isn't spent fighting each other, it is spent finding God's will and doing it. Husbands loving their wives as Christ loves the church, and wives submitting to their husbands. Now, most wives will find it easier to submit when their husband's decisions are made from a place of loving my wife as Christ loves the church, where they'll ask, how will this decision affect my wife? How will my choice affect my wife? This is how God created marriage to function in the beginning. It is still the only way it works. Ephesians 5 verse 31 says, for this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall be joined and be faithfully devoted to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. If believers will honor the covenant they made with God and their spouses in their wedding ceremonies, the divorce rate for believers and unbelievers will cease to be the same. And Christians will become an example to the world for how to live in harmony with their spouses. And 50-year anniversary parties will become vogue.
Right after her.
Mormac Auto Parts for all your Honda Ridgeline parts in Kingston. You may contact us at 876-821-5232 or 876-326-7371 or email us at mormacautoparts@gmail.com. Remember, we are your Honda Ridgeline parts dealer located in Kingston. Contact us now for more details at 876-821-5232 or 876-326-7371.
Planning to sit the May-June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, Friday, November 25. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form, or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May-June CXC exams privately, the registration deadline is November 25.
It's almost Christmas, and Phosphridge is inviting you to Christmas in November super sale, November 21 to December 1. Enjoy massive discounts on lighting, chandeliers, wall lamps, electrical plugs, wires, conduits, and so much more in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Christmas come early, and we'll be unwrapping massive discounts of up to 60% off. It's Christmas in November super sale, November 21 to December 1, only at Phosphridge.
The Time by Grace. Taste that moves you is.
It's 6:03 in Kingston, Jamaica. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome. So I'm starting to get a feel now of the benefits of marriage. Getting there, Tamika. So
I'm happy for you. Sharing you on.
I know. Hopefully by the end, I will be totally committed to say, yes, if someone comes, I will be ready for a satisfying and stable marriage. Those are the words. Yes. And so we want to hear from our audience out there. What have been the benefits of marriage for you? Tell me some benefits, people. I want you to convince me of why I should get married. No, I see some WhatsApp messages coming in, so I'm going to read a couple of them. It says, I have been married for 12 years coming December. At first few years, it was good, but for the past 5 years, it's a stressful relationship. I feel used. I am lonely. I did a surgery recently, and it was just me alone during this stressful time. I'm thinking of leaving soon. Oh boy. Claudette from Hannatown. That's a hard one. And then there's another one that says, my husband doesn't spend time with me. He's always going out, whether work or not. Sonia, it seems like you're going to have to come back to do some marriage counseling,
Yeah.
because
know
it seems
what?
rough.
Hey, Nikki, you know what I noticed? So Claudette says she's been married for 12 years, and for 5 years it has been difficult, right?
Right.
So that means what? About 7 years
7 years
she had,
good.
7 years ago.
right? And can I tell you? Well, first of all, the majority of marriages fail, right? That's the bottom line, right? Depending on which year you're looking at, between 50 to 55% of marriages fail, meaning by
Wow.
that I mean
More than
they
half.
Yeah, and even in the church.
exactly, and by
Yeah.
that I mean 55% end in divorce or separation. There's another 20 to 30% that stay together and are distinctly unhappy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? So it's a minority of relationships between 20 to 30% that are satisfying relationships. Now, what Claudette is sharing, the majority of marriages that are going to fail within that 1 to 7 year period.
Yeah.
Okay, and the unfortunate thing is that, Tamika and Nikki, it does not have to be that way. The truth
Right.
is that most individuals are not given the skills that they don't know what are the actual interactions that preserve their friendship. First of all, Claudette
Right.
no longer has a friend in her husband.
Right.
Okay, they don't know what the skills are required to preserve their friendship. They don't have the skills to handle conflict well either. Okay, those are two main reasons that prevent them from now integrating their lives into a shared institution called this family, a cohesive and satisfying family, you know. And again, that's why I really love what I do, because it's about a skill set that nobody's taught. It's
Hmm.
about how do I express my needs, my hurts in a way that my partner can hear me
And
without being
understand. Yeah.
defensive,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Exactly. How can I listen to my partner without and trying to understand their point of view? How do I extract understanding from my partner, what my partner is saying, particularly when it's not something I want to hear?
Yeah.
That's another a skill set, as it were. And so let me tell you something. The truth is that if you're talking about the benefits of marriage, right? If people are committed to working at and figuring it out,
Yeah.
getting the answers to the questions about what's going to break us, right? The truth is that we grow as individuals, and that is one of the most sophisticated benefits you can get from a relationship, from a marriage, right? Because if my marriage is going to be successful, I have to grow as an individual. I
Learn,
can't
Yes.
be
grow, and change.
impatient. I can't be as impatient as I wanted. I would naturally be if I were on my own. I can't be as selfish as I would be on my own. I have to come out of my comfort zone if I'm going to make my marriage a successful one.
Hmm.
Just coming out of my comfort zone, learning to incorporate somebody else's concerns into my life is an opportunity for dramatic personal growth in terms of making you a better person. And so there's a number of studies again that demonstrate that that is like the ultimate benefit of marriage, the opportunity that it gives you to grow as a human being, because there's now this person within your intimate circle.
Space. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, I have a question. This is a burning question for me because as a Christian, I'm told, and it's in the Bible, that marriage should be a reflection of Christ and the church. And a part of that is, it seems to be a bad word to a lot of women when I say it is submission. No, I'm going to ask this question. And what are the benefits of submission of a wife to a husband in a marriage? With things changing, as you have said, with roles changing, how does this work as a Christian?
You know what, Nicole? I think that's a question I honestly want to shy away from for a couple of reasons.
Uh-huh.
Because I believe, depending on who you are, which faith you belong to, up to which denomination you belong to,
Culture.
submission means a different thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, number one. Number two, I believe that is a question that is, again, answered differently depending on which church you belong to, even which denomination you belong to. It has slightly different doctrinal tones, as it were. And then also, finally, I don't have doctrinal training. So I do want to stay away from that question. I will say this much though, that submission is probably a personal thing, but if you ever start to believe that in submitting your partner is not taking your best interest at heart, then submission is working against you.
Right.
Nikki,
if
as
you
I
don't believe that your partner is considering your well-being in decisions that he or she takes, then submission is not serving you.
Right.
Sonia, it's important that you said that, because the question that Nikki had, I think perhaps I had questions about submission growing up in the church. You hear it as well. And in 3 weeks' time, I will celebrate my 16 years anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you, ladies. But when I think of it, sometimes I think it is the meaning of submission, or what we perceive submission means. And I believe that I submit to my husband, but in submitting to my husband, it does not mean that I lose my sense of self. It does not mean that I am put behind. I think when I submit to my husband, I see it simply as a covering. I see where, it's two becoming one. I believe my needs are being met. I believe they're being prioritized. I believe they're important to him. And so sometimes it's because we're off the view that submission means that I no longer have a voice.
Right, dominating.
No longer have a say, or what I say do not matter, or the decision making is only now for one party. But then marriage is beautiful. So when two become one and there is submission and there is that love that the husband will have the way Christ loved the church, then there is no way possible that submission can be a bad thing.
Right. Thank you both of you, because you're helping me with that. And I'm wondering, because Claudette sent in another message here, and she said, I didn't want it to be like this, but I'm not happy. I'm trying, but it's not working out. I married this man out of love because I'm always the main provider. I love him, but I don't know what he wants. And I think that comes back to communication too. I think you were talking about that, Sonia, and actually growing, because we have to have some skills, as you said, before we actually get married. I think we have to do a program, producer Kathy, take note, how do you prepare for marriage? And I think that's a whole other program, because there are benefits, as you said, Sonia. There are benefits that are really good, besides even the hormones, and there are social benefits too. You live long. You live longer also. Yes.
And a big one too that we haven't really mentioned or gotten close to is that the children who grow up in a stable marriage have better outcomes generally, better health outcomes, better mental health outcomes, better careers, more financial outcomes, less delinquency is associated with children who grow up in two-partner stable homes as well. So that's a very important. And then, of course, how you produce, the children that we're producing is an important part of the fabric of our society, and so that is very, very, very important as well.
Sonia, there's going to be a special question I have for you when we return. So I'll hold it for a while. Guess what, listeners? We are heading into our final break. This is Family Time live on Love 101 FM. On our YouTube and Facebook page, we are live. Family Time is produced by the Family Life Ministries. Now, for our social media interaction, listeners, viewers, we want to know, what are the benefits of marriage for you? Let us know via WhatsApp, text, and voice note. Remember, no longer than 30 seconds. Send your responses to 876 997 3125 or ring our digits in studio to participate at 876 968 8327 to 8. Remember, we're also live on Facebook and YouTube. So send us a response now.
Wonderful. And so this evening, it's all about the benefits of marriage. And Sonia Winter is helping us pinpoint some of those benefits. So don't go anywhere.
Christmas here, are you ready? Burgess colors I am choosing. Paint a home you'll adore, get prizes galore. Shopping in a Burgess Wonderland.
Win an 8-day Caribbean cruise, gift vouchers, save 15% and more when you purchase 2 gallons or more of Burgess paints at any color shop or participating hardware. For entry details, visit BurgessPaintsCaribbean.com today. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Burgess, the lasting beauty and protection.
You know what I count, yeah. Hey, me count, you count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, information needed to develop the community. Them scouts them out and I get the reports. So don't bother hide when you see them.
Census 2022! The Jamaican census will be conducted between September and December 2022. You count, me count.
Welcome back. It is 6:16 here in Love 101 Studios. So I'm Nicola Carrara and I'm with Tamika Scott Walters and you're tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time brought to you by Family Life Ministries, FLM. FLM provides counseling for all people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Listen out for our numbers in Kingston and Portmore at the end of this program.
And please remember, we are on Facebook and YouTube Live. So tune into the program via the Love 101 Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Our topic today is the benefits of marriage. Sonia Winter is our special guest. Sonia is the founder of Tea House Therapy. She holds a master's degree in clinical psychology from the University of the West Indies, and she occasionally provides therapy at Family Life Ministry. Now, Sonia, I recall just before the break that I had a question for you. Do we have Sonia? Oh boy.
She's
coming.
Sonia.
Right.
Sonia, so I know that persons would have been sharing and it hasn't always been along the line of being positive. And so I just wanted to take the time. We clearly know that as much as there are benefits, there are some marriages that for whatever reason, it seems to be a disadvantage. Persons are not getting what they would have expected from the union. But I want you to just take a moment to allow persons to know that if it is that the marriage isn't working, there is help they can get, because you share just now, there are skills that we need to be equipped with, but we aren't always equipped with them. So let persons know that we don't just have to stay in this situation. There is a chance that it can improve, but you have to seek help.
But you know what? Before Sonia answers, I'm really excited because someone is helping me here on WhatsApp. And she says, I have been married for 22 excellent, she said, excellent years. I have a strong support. We pool our finances, and that's a big benefit. He is 5 years younger, but he's the real big man in my life. Claudette from Eltham. I am very happy. Thank God. And I am praising God now for this one. And I'm saying, I'm marrying a younger man. What you saying, Sonia?
I will say this, Claudette. I'm happy for you. But the fact that he's younger is incidental to your happiness, just incidental, coincidental. You know what I mean? I think you've probably both worked really hard and been really committed in your actions towards each other. And that is a formula for success, you know, the ability to pay attention to each other and in small moments and in large moments, you know. And you know, as Tamika said, put the other person first. You know, if you talk about, frankly, my personal position on submission and submitting to my husband is that I don't have to think twice about submitting to him, because I know, I see every day that he's submitting to me. So my husband submits to me. So it's not a question that bothers me, put it that way. You know what I mean? It's a reciprocal arrangement, you know. So
you're taking care of each other. Wonderful. That's wonderful. So you've started giving us some tips for a better marriage, you know. So
marriage
please
experience.
tell us some more.
For sure. Well, and like I said, you know, there are three really important components to the anatomy of a marriage, and it is friendship, conflict management, and creating shared meaning together. That's the Gottman method of couples therapy, you know, and understanding a relationship. And within friendship, there are very powerful types of interaction that couples inadvertently do. Quite often, they're not even aware of it, you know, and these actions fortify their friendship, number one. And also sometimes there are actions that they take that undermine their friendship. And all it is so often is inadvertent. Nobody sets out getting married with few people start out getting married with the intention to sabotage their marriage, you know what I mean? But it happens because inadvertently, put it that way, you know,
one
because
reason or another.
yeah, you know, and the truth is we kind of, you know, culturally we're taught more skills to survive as individuals, you know, to make our way as individuals, but we aren't taught the skills culturally to be what I call half of a partnership. You know, if you think, even when you join a corporation, right, as an employee, as a partner, or whatever, you get a manual that tells you, you know, what you're going to do differently now that you're part of this company, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, not so in marriage. You know, so there's just so much that we do inadvertently, and sometimes, you know, out of fear of vulnerability and so on, and then it just doesn't serve the friendship. It's not an effective way to handle conflict, and it just prevents us from really integrating our lives into a shared union, you know.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a whole lot, because, you know, man, I just heard my friend, well, she wrote to me and she said, I'm scarred from marriage. You know, and when I'm seeing so many difficult situations in marriage, when even in the church, you know, I'm kind of like scrutinizing people. I look at the married couples, and you know, sometimes they don't really seem that happy. So I'm like, why should I get married? You know,
our role models of positive marriages are not plentiful at all. But because, as I said, most marriages, you know, don't work the way we want.
More than half. So you have maybe more on one side that's bad than. But I mean, truth be told, we may have more that are bad, Nikki. We don't see the display of affection and love. But then again, there are some marriages that are absolutely beautiful, and I think I've been privileged to see some of those. And so somehow I feel empowered and I feel motivated that, hey, that's what I want as well.
It creates hope.
We need more positive examples of
we
what
do.
Marriage,
especially as a single woman or a single man, I believe, needs, and we need mentorship too. We need couples who are doing it well, like Claudette from Eltham, 22 years, excellent years. She
Sonia,
needs to
25 years.
Sonia, Tamika, 16 years. So, I would love for me to be seeing your marriages, just as a single person and seeing what I need to change. Am I too selfish, So all these things need to come into play. And it's not just about love, and it's not just about looks, because those looks gonna go, and so we need to get a better understanding of what marriage is really about. What do you think, Sonia? What do you think about that?
For sure. I will say, I agree with you that it's not about love. Love serves a great purpose in bringing us together. I always say God did a great thing by inventing love, because you just kind of intoxicatingly fall into this relationship with this person, and it's just so wonderful. It's like a magnet sometimes that pulls you to this person. But once the challenge now becomes figuring out how to be together happily, and there was a couple of years ago, I did an actual workshop for premarital couples, and I had a number of couples actually meeting at the Pegasus for a day, and we went to a workshop. And one of the wonderful things I was able to do is I brought in a couple who at the time had been married for 35 years, and I just allowed the participants to interview them, you know what I mean? And it was so wonderful to hear, so they turned out to be mentors for that group.
Wow, that's wonderful. That is wonderful.
And it was, yes, it was very,
It worked
you know
out.
what it is, Tamika, the fact that you can say you know of successful marriages and you've seen them and they're beautiful, what happens is that it instills hope in you. There's hope. When all you see is despair and unhappiness,
Yeah,
it makes you feel. Because I remember when I was getting married, I was I can't remember, I was going just a few weeks before the wedding, and I'm going through the guest list, and for some reason, and as I went down the list, it occurred to me there was not one couple in the guest list whose marriage I would want to replicate.
Wow.
And I remember I panicked because I thought to myself, what do I think I know that they don't know? What do I think is so special about me? I remember I just resigned myself. I just said, Lord, well, I'm doing this with the best of intentions, so just hold my hand, please. That's all I could do.
That's all. You need Jesus.
I didn't have a lot of hope, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
We need some hope.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube comment that I would really like to get to, because I want to see if someone is going to convince me some more. Okay, it's Christopher Orumba. Okay, a gentleman. Until we begin to accept one another's fault and move on, believing we too aren't perfect, marriages these days would continue to be a fantasy. Oh, and we have Marlon Martin. Oh, Marlon and Cassian Martin. 15 years. Congratulations. So we're getting some good marriage testimonies here. This is wonderful. So Sonia, just wrap up for me. What are the last things you would like to say?
Yeah, the final encouragement to those who may be contemplating marriage, and perhaps to give a pickup to those who are having a challenge in marriage now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for those having a challenge, don't be despair. Don't despair. As you said earlier, Tamika, there is help. A lot of times couples think, so what is a stranger going to tell me that I don't know already? And the truth is, marriage is a relationship between two people. It means it involves human behavior. It means, and there's a science around human behavior. So what this stranger is going to tell you is that this is how two human beings react in a certain situation. Here is how you can handle the situation and take control of the situation. You are not special. Couples have suffered from what you have suffered decade after decade after decade, and we now have answers as to what they can do that can save their marriage. Okay, so there are scientific answers to the problems that you're having. That's the one thing, the most important thing that I would say, And then the last thing I would say also is that anything that's worthwhile takes hard work. So understand that, you know, there is a bit of a romantic idea that two people fall in love and the effort stops there. Everything is spontaneous after that, you know. Happiness is, or a satisfying relationship is spontaneous if we love each other. It does not work like that, you know. It takes a lot of it takes work to have something meaningful. And finally, couples, I think, don't know what that work looks like. You know,
Whoa. We're going to have to find out more about that work, though, Sonia. I'm so glad you are here. I want to leave with someone writing. Deacon Otti says, "Blessed evening. I love your topic. I am married for 38 years. What helped our marriage to be successful? Love, respect, communication, friendship, and prayer." Deacon Otti. And another one, "Good evening. I enjoyed your program. My parents be celebrating their 28th anniversary next month. Congratulations." So thank you all. Thank you, Sonia. And thank you all for being here with us. If you have questions of a personal nature or are concerned about a friend or family, call us at Family Life Ministries for our center in Portmore at 117 Cecile Avenue. Call 876-939-7917 for more information on our services. For our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Note that appointments can only be made by calling the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs, find us on Facebook at FLM Family Ministries and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries, FLMJA.
Before we leave you, here is this evening's Bible verse. "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. So long, farewell, but join us again next week at 5:30 p.m., where we always look forward to having you on Love 101 FM, Facebook, YouTube Live via the Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today, as always, another informative program. Thanks again to our special guest, Sonia Winter. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, Open Door Communications, our studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course to you, our valued listeners. I am Tamika Scott Walters saying good evening on behalf of Nicole Carrera and myself. Stay well, stay safe, stay blessed.